I'm walking over to the Tropical House, a neighborhood bar here on the north side of Sayulita, Nayarit, Mexico, to meet with a really interesting guy, the owner and operator of the Tropical House, and sit down and talk with him a little bit more about his amazing tequila and his beloved neighborhood bar on the north side. So stay tuned, and we are going to talk to Michel of the Tropical House. All right, welcome back to the Spotlight series of interviews with only the most amazing and interesting people that I meet on my journey throughout Mexico and Latin America. And today I'm very excited to meet with a man who in these parts really needs no introduction. He's a rather charismatic man, a beloved figure on the north side of Sayulita, Mexico, the owner and operator of the Tropical House here on the north side of Sayulita. And not only is he the owner and operator of the Tropical House, he is known for making some of the best tequila, perhaps the best tequila that has ever touched my lips.
I don't know about that,
I'm excited to be here with Michel. Not only is he a charismatic, animated man, beloved in the community, but he's also extremely warm and welcoming. I was very touched when I first arrived here to be introduced to his bar, and he greeted me with real warmth and sincerity and was interested in my story, and that meant a lot to me. And I've made a lot of great friendships here at your restaurant and bar, so I have a lot of love in my heart for Michel and the Tropical House. So if you come to Sayulita, come to the north side, seek out the Tropical House. They've got great food, drinks, tequila. And if you're lucky enough, you might get to say hi to Michel and be a part of his community here. So thank you for sitting down with me, Michel, and talking to me. All right, let's dive right in with a deep, tough question for you.
Go for it.
You have incredible dance moves. Are you classically trained or a professional or just someone born with incredible talent?
Both.
Both, okay. Maybe a little bit of training. I caught Michel's dance moves on one occasion here, and I was thoroughly impressed. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. Where did you come from, and how did you come upon opening a bar here in Sayulita?
I was born in Houston, Texas, but I spent most of my childhood in South America, mainly Argentina.
Interesting.
My mother's Argentinian, my father's from Texas. But then I decided to go back to the States. I got a scholarship as a tennis player.
Wow, a scholarship as a tennis player, folks?
Yeah, I had a couple years on education. I couldn't get as a rugby player because I was a rugby player, but I always been pretty talented, you know. I always knew I was pretty good with the racket. Anyhow, and that's kind of started actually my second kind of stage in my life. But my childhood was actually great. It was all about rugby. It's all about my school. It's all about friends, which I miss dearly. I don't go often to Argentina anymore. It's very far, in my opinion. And when I'm traveling around now, I adopt Mexico. It's been actually one of the greatest things I've ever done. Really, the pace of the life here is a lot more real, in my opinion. Going to according to the soul space, sometimes, and I love the States, and I don't mind spending a few months there because sometimes I do that, but I get tired because it's just a very fast-paced life.
Yeah.
I really, truly love my life in Sayulita. I'm still taking the trade. It's been a while. I have Tropical House for roughly about 17 years.
17 years, okay. Yeah, as he said, the people, I think it's all about the welcoming atmosphere here. And people literally, you can walk down the street and they will go out of their way to say hello, buenos dias.
Yeah, but that was back then. That was Sayulita as well. So that's something I might recognize early. And I think Sayulita is all about all the places, all about the person is behind, or the idea behind, and and usually it is a person or owner that actually makes it, the place spark.
Yeah.
And unlike You know, like many companies tried to get here and there, and they couldn't get that big mentality. No people driven, money driven.
Right. You can't. You have to be authentic.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes Sayulita a very special place.
Yeah.
You know?
And so, how long did you say you've had the tropical house here?
17 years. Almost.
17 years,
Yeah.
folks. Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you first discover Sayulita?
I was actually expecting. So I moved to Mexico because my family has a business, has a winery, and
Interesting.
and we had it for 44 years. So we went nationwide with 3 products, and we need to cut a lot of the bigger mill. So my family actually chose me because I live in Argentina and my Spanish was pretty fluent in Spanish, and so I was decided to be the buyer. But in the meantime, my family has an 1840 church that we set the winery, and we needed more space, and we're in a place that has a lot of codes, which is Western Missouri.
Okay.
It's a very, very, very strict coded construction place, and so we did a replica of the 1840 church. It took forever, but I talked to my family, if I'm gonna go to help you, I'm gonna be in Mexico.
Right.
So we do it, and I came kind of early, so I was strong a little bit in Guadalajara. I did a couple of restaurants, and someone that just opened a restaurant here, he said, Michel, I'm gonna take you a place that you're gonna love.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Very good. Yeah. Great
did my
story.
job and stuff like that. So,
How do you describe your bar here, your food, your establishment here, and the vibe of the North Side? How do you describe the tropical house?
I don't know, Tequila House, it's just a very unique place. Honestly, it just people feels like I always call it my living room.
Yeah,
You know,
his living room.
But you know what? Sometimes Tony translates that, and Benji translates that. Of the guys that I had also, they get that. And you know, that's something that I polished with the years. And I met a really great guy. He has very nice a few restaurants in the States, and one of the greatest things about his concept it's always been about really good with the employees and really good with the people. And you know what? That concept sometimes it gets missed. You know, in the
Yes.
in the world, right?
Yeah. That was going to be sort of a next question of mine, is that I would guess that your customers and employees in particular are very important to you. You're very much a people
Absolutely.
person.
It's always bad. My grandmother in Texas had 3 diners. It's all about the people. Put a lot of people in school, even during the war. Feed it when they came back after the war. You know, it's been in my family. It's all about the people, really.
Yeah.
It's not about really. I mean, it's you, but it's also the people. The people that really makes your place.
You have describe your food a little bit. What's your cuisine like here?
You know, when I create Tropical House, I didn't have a car, so I decided kind of like it's both Brad to decide to stay in Sayulita. So I needed to, to figure out a little bit. I have a background. I went to the Hilton School in Houston, and I did a chef. I'm a chef trained, but at the same time, my grandfather was probably one of the best chefs that ever came from France, and in Houston, Texas, opened the War Week, the Petroleum Club, and all that. So it runs. It took me a while, but it runs in the family. All that. And pretty much a lot of my family are amazing cooks.
What are some of your dishes, your favorite dishes that you have here?
I think we create actually something sarandeado, which is basically an achiote-based sauce, which is, it's a very typical food. I think I used to buy the sauce, but the guy that actually bring them in many years ago, I think he passed away, stopped bringing it. So I come up with hands and some kind of, recipe, and I think we got it better, and it's been the best-selling fish and probably in the history of Tropical House, right? I had a chain also in Houston that was part of that. The name was Antipasto, and I brought a few things over there, recipes that I have. And then everything that I can get in consistent basics like fish, shrimp, chicken. Took me a while to get a good steak. Now I do have a good steak, and just anything that brings. I mean, Mexico makes it really easy because of a lot of freshness.
Yes.
And then just for me, if you combine all those things and wine, a little bit of Mediterranean, cuisine and stuff like that, cooking with the garlic, cooking, sauces and stuff like spices, and now if you get into the dry peppers, I mean, that's what makes it a really good combination.
Yeah. Do you anticipate being in Sayulita forever?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm so far. I've been here for a while. So far, I don't see getting ahead of the game. But you know what? I'm still have a place in the States, so I go 2 or 3 months. I feel a little bit like this, and then that's how I feel right now.
Is it difficult or to be? You touched on this briefly. Is it difficult to be a restaurant owner in Sayulita? Are there barriers to entry? You said you need to be authentic and real. What is it like to be a restaurant owner? Well,
49ers and 49ers against Chief is someone. I don't know what it is, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
That's a story of my life anyway.
Yes, you guess beloved individual on the north side.
So you know what? It's always every year a challenge. I mean, Sayulita grows so much. When I opened really Sayulita, it was really not so much great food other than Pedro's at that time. It was not real restaurants too. So it kind of make it easy, but it make it hard in the sense that I used to enjoy because we used to have really low, very marked high season, very marked low season. So.
Right. I was wondering, there are a lot of good restaurants here, and there seems to be. Is there any sort of coordination or group among restaurant owners? Do you all know each other?
Sorry.
And
can I steal a couple chairs?
Absolutely, you can.
Is there a community among the restaurant owners?
Yeah,
is there any
honestly,
coordination
for me,
to make sort of decisions among you that improve the lifestyle here?
Actually, that's probably my expertise. So I do actually sell a little wholesale wine, olive oil I bring from Europe and stuff like that. So I've been actually kind of crafting that sense. So I would say so. I would say I definitely have relationship. I know just about everyone, really.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But as you know, there's so many restaurants that open daily, and for me, it's just all about what you do, and it doesn't really matter what everybody else. I mean, if it's working, it's working. If it's not, you gotta somehow find and improve. That's it.
All right, we're going to touch briefly on his tequila, and I don't want to keep him too much longer because he's a busy man.
No, don't worry about it. I mean, I'm okay.
How did you learn how to make tequila, and what's your process for that?
Well, that's actually a very good question. I didn't know anything about distills, but I knew a little bit about wine. Like I said, I cannot say I grew up making wine, but pretty much I was invited in my family business to learn how to make wine from basic scratch.
Where was your family's vineyard?
It's in Western Missouri, outside of Kansas City. We're probably about 15, 20 minutes outside of the airport of Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
We had it for 44 years. Like I said, I set all with that. So I learned a lot of the fermentation, the bottling, just the basics. I learned it actually from working there with my family, basically.
And traditionally, tequila is made in Tequila, Jalisco.
Traditional tequila is actually came from Guatemala, the word tequila, but it has to be stayed mainly in Jalisco. But it's only 5 states you can actually call it tequila, and 52 counties, as a matter of fact.
Do you make your tequila here?
I make it about 3. The batch that I have here that I actually got me surprised. I made it 3 hours from here in Ayutla, Jalisco, in the middle of nowhere. That's one of those adventures that I did, and
that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and yeah, I did that. When I started tequila, I got second guesses because when I was in the States, I thought it was shit. I'm not gonna have tequila. Let me have a vodka gin because I've got the worst hangovers ever, right? So it took me a while.
Yeah, and you make a white and a dark tequila, right?
Yes, and I always trust my palate.
Yes.
So it's not a knowledgeable thing, but I was traveling around all Jalisco, middle highlands, lowlands, middle of nowhere, and and so I did that, and I picked a few brands, and then when I realized and I looked, and blindly I looked at the rank, and there were top 5, best-selling brands in the United States. So I trust my instinct in that sense, and then I started to know a little bit more and started being part of that. And like I said, I have a really great welcome to Mexico. Mexico actually has been, I've been in places that if you're not invited, you can't even come in.
Sure.
It's pretty interesting. It really, truly is an interesting culture. Interesting. The tequila is an amazing one.
Your tequila is aged?
It is aged. I have a few now, but the one that I did, which I think was my masterpiece, was 18 months in barrel, and I did it with the flavor of barrels with Chardonnay.
Now, is it only available here in the Tropical House, or is it available outside of Sayulita?
my ex añejo gets sold in the Four Seasons locally, and I have a couple of restaurants in Hollywood. That's all I have for them. And here I'm running out in the pandemic. I had 9,000 liters in the pandemic. I opened and I put as a house tequila, which it really is a house tequila. It's a little more. I mean, people get surprised and say, "Is this really a house tequila?"
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
But I'm the kind of person that think there need to be things that have to be flow in life.
Yeah.
I had it over there sitting. I lost a contract with them. Got put on hold June 1st when it started the pandemic. I said, well, bring it here. Got those barrels here. We're going to use it here. We got to figure out how to do it. And that was actually maybe the greatest or the stupid move that I ever did in my life. But at the same time, it's the joy behind it.
So it's not available online currently or anything like that. You have to. You have to come here.
It will. I was thinking how I can get it. Not yet.
Okay. Coming soon, folks.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Colorado. It's going to be in Colorado. I got 22 restaurants with 22 friends. They have restaurants there, so it's coming there.
It's called Don Michel.
Don Michel.
Okay.
Don Michel will be in that right now.
And all right, well, we're about to wrap up here. Do you have any advice for travelers coming to Mexico or Sayulita in particular? There's myths out there that Mexico is maybe not safe to travel to, or like what would you say to travelers
like anything in life,
considering Mexico as
anything in life, be
destination.
respectful.
Yep.
Of the culture. It's a different culture. I don't think. Honestly, I think. Ciao. And I think honestly, it just there's certain places there's a lot more territorial turf with the drugs, stuff like that. But I've been in all these years I've been here, I've never seen. I would not be in a place I would feel unsafe. Let's put it that way. And I travel around. I travel all in Mexico and never feel unsafe.
Right. Me too. So far.
So yes. So
can people find the Tropical House or you online? Do you have an Instagram or a social media presence?
I do have Sayulita Live. You go to Sayulita Live, Tropical House. I'm not really good at social media. I don't want to push people to come to my place. I want them to find a natural way to come into the door, feel comfortable, which is usually that's what happens.
Organically
or
growing.
farm to the table, whatever. Yes, exactly, naturally. Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, if you find yourself in Sayulita, then organically find your way to the Tropical House. Say hello to mi amigo Michel at the Tropical House, and you will be glad that you did. Thanks, Michel.
You bet, Jordan.
All right. Muy delicioso.
It gets you all the explosion. Yeah, but I didn't have the English copy. So we